Hey guys, so in today's video I want to finally take a look at Gibraltar and explain how to play with it. I know it took way too long for this video to actually happen, so I apologize for that, but as always, with all of the other legends, which we actually talked about already, we will take a look at Gibraltar's abilities, best weapons to play with, best environment to utilize Gibraltar in, role in the team, as well as synergies with other legends, which are most useful when it comes to playing with those. Alright, so without any more talking, let's get to the point. What are the abilities for Gibraltar? And, as always with all of the other legends, we have 3 different abilities. The passive one, allowing you to deploy a shield in front of your gun when you're shooting so that you can be protected from incoming fire. The tactical ability, allowing you to drop down a shield, or more like a dome, around yourself to protect yourself and everyone inside from the incoming fire and all of the other throwable items. As well as the ultimate ability, allowing you to call in a bombardment. Which is pretty self-explanatory, you can bombard your enemies, or yourself, if you drop it in your head, but I wouldn't recommend you do so. Anyway, starting from the beginning, you get the passive ability, allowing you to deploy a shield in front of your gun. Now, there isn't really much to explain here, but one key thing that you should keep in mind is that if you want to fully utilize it, I recommend you actually crouch while shooting your opponents, because then the shield will cover most of your body and will be much harder for them to actually hit you. When it comes to your tactical ability, you get a shield which you can place on the ground and it will protect you from everything coming outside of the shield. Now, what is important to remember here is that you can actually hide and prevent damage from your own bombardment if you deploy a shield over your head in the place where you called in the bombardment. That's pretty self-explanatory. But it's quite useful because people often forget they can actually do it. If you are a new player who just started playing Apex, I just want to clear this out. Yes, the enemy fire and grenades will not be able to damage you inside of the shield, but it works both ways. So if you want to shoot opponents outside of the shield or throw something at them, you will actually have to step out of it or at least stick the gun out of it to be able to shoot them. And because of that, you also have to keep in mind that once you place down the shield, you can actually place it down in a way which will benefit your enemies instead of your teammates. Because here's the thing, if you drop down the shield and cover yourself along with your teammates in a moment where you don't necessarily need it, it gives the opponents a chance to actually run up to you and push you if they couldn't do it previously. Because for a couple of seconds, or well, a second or two, you're in the shield and you cannot shoot them, so they are free to run up to you. I really see this happening quite frequently where Gibraltar players don't really know how to utilize the shield and they just randomly throw it on the ground, which does kind of protect them, but at the end they become an easy target. Remember, enemies can also normally run through the shield. They don't have to breach or anything, they can just run through it and kill you inside. When it comes to your ultimate ability, you are able to call in a bombardment, and the thing is, you can actually do so without damaging your teammates if they are in the radius of the bombardment. So what you can do, and what is the most effective tactic pretty much, is call in the bombardment when your enemies are having a fight. Because here's the thing, the enemies shooting them will not really be able to back out of the fight without your teammates killing them. But if they don't do it, they will die from your bombardment, or they will at least get heavily damaged so that your teammates get the advantage. However, one thing you have to keep in mind is that the reload time of your ultimate ability takes a while, and after you do it, or after you use it, you will have to wait 4 minutes and 30 seconds for it to recharge. So it's a good idea to have some ultimate accelerants with you, which take 7 seconds to use, and they restore 20% of your ultimate. When it comes to the ideal weapons to play with when you're using Gibraltar, I would say you should go for a more defensive playstyle and therefore weapons for a bit longer distance, because here's the thing, before I get into weapons I just want to clarify it. If you decide to play with Gibraltar as an aggressive player, pushing with your teammates and being in the first line, the problem is, your hitboxes are literally so big that it will be hard for the enemy players not to hit you. And because of that, I would personally recommend a bit more defensive playstyle where you actually stay back a little bit, and here is where the sniper rifles actually come in handy, such as the triple take, G7 Scout, Crabber for a bit longer distances if you can acquire it from the supply drop, LMGs, both Spitfire and the Devotion actually work well, as well as the new Havoc assault rifle which was added to the game like a week ago. And of course the Wingman pistol, but again it's broken on every single range, you just have to hit the headshots or even body shots, doesn't matter much. When it comes to the best environment to utilize Gibraltar, I pretty much already explained the whole thing while talking about weapons. And that's essentially it. If you decide to play Gibraltar offensively, you will be an easy target, so I recommend you stay on like medium to longer distance. I don't mean camp all the way in the back, but at the same time, if you expose yourself too much, you are literally the easiest target in the game. And it's not because you lack skill to play it effectively, but your character model is just too big. And all of this translates to your role in the team. You are supposed to be the supporting character. And I don't want to say anything cringy such as, oh, you're supposed to provide a suppressing fire, because it's always cringy, like no one cares if someone is shooting them and not hitting them, so they won't like go away or give up. But the point is, you can utilize the shield, you can call in the bombardment without damaging your teammates, so you can drop it on their heads when they are fighting with the enemy team, and still you will just take out the enemies, not your teammates. You can utilize your tactical ability with the shield for the revives to prevent yourself from getting killed while doing so. I mean while reviving your teammate, and in general, you are supposed to be the guy supporting. When it comes to synergies with other legends, I'd say that Gibraltar is pretty universal, because you can easily combine him with all of the aggressive legends such as Wraith, Bangalore, Bloodhound, Mirage, and use the bombardment to drop it on the enemy's heads when they are actually fighting the opponents. You can combine him with Lifeline and with Pathfinder, because realistically, why not? Pathfinder and Lifeline always work in this game with anything. They just don't really benefit one another, but they do work. And at the end, we could also combine Gibraltar with Caustic, but I wouldn't really recommend you do so. At least not recommend so much, because here's the thing. If you combine two so-called defensive legends, first of all, you lose in a direct engagement. Your hitboxes are literally so big for both Gibraltar and Caustic that it is hard for the enemies not to hit you. And truth be told, going for two defensive legends in one team, it never really works well, because the truth is, Apex is super dynamic. Sooner or later, you will have to push your opponents. You will have to be in the front line. If you decide to have two defensive characters, you will have to help the third guy. And with such big hitboxes and abilities which don't really benefit you in a direct engagement, it is hard to get the upper hand, especially if you're equally skilled as your opponents. It's less of a question if you can do it, but more of a question if it's worth doing. Because is it really worth it? I don't think so. Anyway guys, that would be it for this video, but before you click off, I just want to quickly announce that because of 10k subs, which we actually got about 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't filmed the 10k video, I want to do a short Q&A, so if you have any questions regarding me personally, my channel, Apex, Battlefield, gaming, working with EA, anything, let me know down in the comments and I will record a Q&A later this week. If you already left your question under the previous video, don't worry, I have all of them collected, so there is absolutely no need to write them again, and yeah, as always, if you enjoyed, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and I see you in Apex. See ya!